Dominican coach had told him about me and Ras to offer us football scholarship. So he came to Dominica, went to the Ministry of Sports. But when he visited Dominica, they showed him two different guys. So he left with nobody. As a little boy, I couldn't understand it. It's not Roseau, it's not Portsmouth.
That's
Yes,
sabotage.
it's Dominica. I was like, wow. But that's how God make work in
Yeah.
mysterious ways, right? I almost ended up coaching Thea to see her on that stage. And then knowing I'm going to see that flag being raised. You're right, bro. You say the conversations just keep going.
It is your boy Mystelics, and we are back again for another BrBpTV podcast. Of course, it's all about our vibrations where we get to be real and positive here on this here BrBpTV. And of course, we have yet another special guest. This guest is not just a special guest, but this guest has graced the international platform, brothers and sisters. And of course, we're dealing with the Olympics right there. And of course, we're going to get a bit of an insight from him right there. He is none other than Mr. Jerome Romain, right there in the building with us. Bro, what's the word? What's the word?
Yes, man. Everything blessed, everything blessed. And it's great to be on your program
Yeah.
for obviously such a monumentous
Yeah.
occasion for Dominica sports and for Dominica in general.
Yeah,
So
that's
yes,
true.
it's I'm humble and blessed to be here on your program, just talking about sports in general, and
Yeah.
again especially on this occasion.
I see you have your Dominican flag on you. I remember when Thea had her own, and you are pretty much having yours there. You're not in Dominica right now, but you are overseas, and do you feel like you're still representing Dominica? What is that thought?
Yeah, well, again, obviously, like I say, I'm overseas, but I'm a original Dominican from day one, right? And no matter where we are in the world, Dominica, we are Dominicans, and the things that I do in life, or that I've done in life, it's because of my upbringing in Dominica. That can't, nobody can take that out from you. It doesn't matter where you are.
I agree, I agree. But can you give us a little like backdrop of who Jerome Romain is growing up in Dominica, becoming an Olympian, gracing the different stages, the world stage, and just dominating the competition. But just before we even get into that, just give us a little synopsis, so to speak, of you growing up in Dominica. Where were you?
Yeah, well,
Where did you grow up, and this kind of things there?
yeah. Well, I mean, obviously, I'm original Posse man.
Posse
All right,
man, you
I
heard me.
grew up in Posse. Spent also a lot of summers in Tukari. My grandmother. And that's something I look forward to every summer.
Yeah,
Getting
yeah.
out of your mom. Actually, it was very
Yes.
inspirational in my youth, and then from St. John's, I went on to PSS, and then also spent some time at the tech call, right? So again, yes, just the original Posse man, everybody, Kokotong. I obviously played soccer for Kokotong.
Yeah,
One
yeah.
of the was instrumental in that club, forming the club. So just a humble little boy, as I put it, about 30 years ago, humble little boy from Haberlin.
And then you left. You pretty much left to go to the United States. At what age did you leave to
Y- y-
travel? Well, when?
Yeah, so I actually left Dominica back in 1991, and so again I was around 19. I got an opportunity to get a track scholarship at a junior college in Texas, and really, to be honest, I didn't know about the impact of leaving the island and coming to study in the US. And it was, although when I left it, although it was a happy time, it was a really sad time for me because
Yeah.
the way it unfolded, right? If I remember clearly, I had just gotten back from Tokyo, Japan. That was the first time I represented Dominica at the World Championships. Um, and then I literally I came back to Dominica on a Wednesday, and my sister Frederica told me, hey, there's been this coach that's been calling for you for the last week, and he said you have to be in the school by the weekend. else, you won't have that opportunity again. So I told her, I said, I don't want to go. She said, boy, you better start packing your bags. Right. And then at the time, obviously, so I had to book a ticket to go to Barbados that Thursday to get the visa to come back that Thursday, that same day. But flight was delayed, so I ended up having to spend the night in Barbados on that Thursday and flew back to Dominica on Friday. And then my mom, obviously, at the time lived in St. Martin. She came to Dominica on Saturday, and I left on the Sunday. So it was
Just
that quick,
very
bro.
quickly, just
Very
like that.
quickly. Just like that. I really had no time to, celebrate, tell my friends that, hey, that I was leaving. Oh, by the way, I get the scholarship, I'm leaving. Oh, happy. When you're leaving? Boy, I leaving on Sunday. Right. And for me, although it was a happy time, I literally cried on that plane from Dominica to Antigua and Antigua to Houston. And for the first 2 weeks, I mean, it was tough. It was tough, but luckily, there were a lot of other Caribbean guys from. I met some guys from Barbados, Jamaica. There were a couple guys from Trinidad on that team, and it was almost like a little melting pot, And that team was Blaine Junior College, and it was miraculous how things work, right? And that junior college ended up being one of the best junior colleges for track and field in the US,
And that's the
right?
one you were part of.
And that's the one I was a part of, not knowing anything, just and
What do you mean not knowing anything? Because it seems like you came from Japan. Were you running then? I think you were definitely running then.
yes, yes, yes.
Yeah.
So in Japan, I actually competed in the 100. I was in the same heat with Carl Lewis, and then also
Okay.
did the triple jump, right? And I would say for me, that that was kind of where things changed for me. My perspective changed a little bit on athletics, right? Because you know, I ran track at home, but we did it. I tell people we had two, three, four track meets a year, depending on how, if you made a national team or if you did CARIFTA games. And the Olympics then wasn't something, big on our mind. We knew about certain athletes. I mean,
Yeah.
Carl Lewis, obviously, because everybody wanted to be Carl Lewis or wanted to be Ben Johnson, because,
Yeah.
those are the guys that we really heard about because of their sprinting prowess. And I'll tell you what changed for me. One day in the hotel, in the World Championship hotel where all the athletes stayed, I sat on a lunch table, and across the table from me, like they had the long tables, Powell,
Okay.
Carl Lewis, some of the greats that growing up as a little boy to me is like stars. You're like, yo, about those guys.
Yeah.
And man, here I see I was sitting across them. And I look at, man, it's like flesh and blood like me. Right? And that literally changed, like, man, if these guys can do that,
You can do it too.
I can do it too. You check, right?
Which
So
it's so it's interesting that you're talking about your drive to finally go into it, pushing into it. But it seems like there's a missing element there for some sort. Like what took place back then when you were in Dominica, you were running track. Why did you do
yes.
that? To the point where
So
you
so
ended up in Tokyo, Japan. I mean, that's something big right there.
yes, so I'll tell you really, bro, it started just wanting to be like my big brother Christy. Right. So, Christy, as you know, I mean, he taught me in PSS. He was a great sportsman, cricket, football, track. And we had this little clique where he was coaching us. And I tell you, it was like, man, I want to be like Christy, man.
Yeah.
I want to be like Christy. I want to run fast like him. I wanted to jump, and even my biggest success came in the triple jump. But really, I started as a sprinter, a
Yeah.
long jump at home. I mean, at one time, I even won the 800 meters at the secondary school championships because we wanted some more points, right? And Mr. Fabi at the time, John Bruman,
Yeah,
was
yeah.
the one dominating. dominating the distance. But I had already run won the long jump, run the 100, some relays, and Mr. Fabi, may his soul rest in peace.
Yeah.
He said, "Hey Jay, we can get some points, man. Just let's run the 800." And I end up beating John and becoming the 800
And
Mr.
the thing is,
Champion.
it seemed like you never knew you had that in you.
No, never, right? And
Wow.
it's just like, man, I want to do this and I want to do it. And I'll tell you, although I never saw it in me and I did it because the motivation was
Yeah.
I want to be like my brother. Man, there were so many people that saw it. And I tell you, started in St. John's School I mean, now his father LVO, but Mr. LVO at the time. And then Mr. Parilo, because
Yeah.
I was in Tuapito, right? I was in Tuapito, Yellow House. And those guys were always like, man, and I was small. I was real small.
Petite.
But yes, petite. And I'll give you a story in that terms about the petite when I moved on to PSS.
Yeah.
Right? And those guys were always like, hey, yeah, you should try this, you should do this. And then it became in school, in St. John's School at the time, we had this little corridor with a wall, and I think that wall still exists, but from one end to the next. And it was every day like, boy, I got faster than you. And you say, no, boy, you're mad, man, let's run. And we run on that wall and we develop a technique where we hit that wall and basically run up the wall and turn back one time and come. And
Oh,
every
kind of
day
like a
we had
ninja, like the ninjas then.
yes,
Okay,
yes,
okay.
yes. Every day we had those little competitions, And then same PSS, I mean not PSS but St. John's School. It's every little thing. We used to do those sack race, three-legged races, all those little fun atmosphere. But that somehow those guys in my time there as a little boy saw something. PSS, same thing. Again, I was a little boy. I remember my worst day in PSS was my first day in PSS, right? Because I was small and the surge jacks, I had the smallest, extra small surge jack. And that surge jack was on my knee, right? Because I was so small.
For the individuals out there, what exactly is a Sir Jack?
It was the surge jack that was, back in the days we wear those white shirts with the pockets on one. You have 1, 2, 3, 4 pockets, and
Yeah, the preacher
obviously the
outfit, so
crest.
to speak.
Yes,
Yeah, yeah.
yes, yes. So the right, and so because of my stature, boy, I was like, man, everybody laughed my surge jack on my knee because but and then when it comes to sports, again, same thing. Mr. Fabian, James Fabian, again, like I said, Christy, and but really in PSS, I would say one of the biggest impact and the way that changed really everything for me, not only in sports but in the way just I live my life. I remember we were again in the park, Portsmouth Park, the high
Yeah,
jumping,
Benjamin's Park.
and Benjamin's Park, high jumping, and it was, I think I was competing against fellas like Crispin Rodney, so I was like a boy. Those guys were in fourth form,
Yeah, yeah,
fourth
yeah.
form going. I was, first form competing high jump. And then we had a point where it was just me and I think maybe Crispin or someone else left to clear height. And then
Do you
Miss
remember the
Aaron
height?
come. No, I think it was about 5'8" or 6 feet. And at the time there, we actually did most of the high jumpers did what we call the Christie jump, right? And that developed from most people used to Western roll or scissors, right? And then one year Christie developed this jump where he would just run straight on and just lay straight over the bar. So everybody started calling it the Christie jump.
Okay.
And Miss Aaron came and she whispered to me, "Hey, let's go. Pity hash kabat go boy." Right? And for those of that's not too versed in the Creole, she said, "Small axe does cut big trees."
Yeah.
So she said, "Let's go. You can do this, man." And I mean, I'm talking about it now, and I'm shivering. And I don't know what came into me on that, Mystelics. And I came and boom, I jumped down. And I ended up winning that high jump there. And then from that day, I tell that stories to my kids, and now, right now, even kids that I coach. That little word that she said to me,
Yeah.
"Hey, come on, PTH Kabat Goba." And to this day, man, this is something that live in me and that instill in me. And like I said, moving on to Tokyo, Japan. When I sat across those guys, I'm like, man, flesh and blood, just like me.
Yeah.
I said, man, if those guys can do that,
You can do it
I
too.
can do that. And
Yeah.
that was the turning point to where I say, man, let me
So
see. And then even go ahead.
so back then it was all about fun for you. It was about,
Yes.
you know, you said you jumped 6. So how tall were you when you did that? How tall were you in
Oh
first form?
boy. So I will tell you. So right now I'm about 5'9". So I was a little baby 5 feet,
Yeah,
5 feet
yeah.
guy, right? And you see a little short, small boy, you don't come
So you
into
had
that.
frog legs then, pretty much.
Yes, and talking about the frog legs too. Later in the years, we used to go. They started the little inter-school stuff, and Saint Lucia. So that is literally the Lucians. When they first see me jump, they used to say, they used to call me Dominica Mountain Chicken. They say, boy, look at the mountain chicken. You check, because a little small and I bounce. And then even that, I tell you, the triple jump and again, like I said, I did the long jump, the high jump, sprint a little bit. And so one year, and I'll tell you, maybe it was if I remember correctly, 1980, I would say 1986 maybe, was the first year triple jump was introduced at our national meet in Dominica. And we knew there was going to be a new event. But for some reason, the guys in the South never told us what that event was going to be. And so we found out that the meet, so the meet usually we have a Saturday, it's like a Sunday meet. So we found out on the Saturday that this new event was the hop, skip, and jump, they call it then.
Hop, skip, and jump.
Hop, skip, jump.
AKA
Yes.
triple jump.
Yes.
Okay.
Right? And then, boy, when Christy tell me what they have, and boy, I say about Christy, how you doing that jump? He say, how you run? It's like the long jump. But before, you take a hop, you jump, take off on one leg, land on the other. And so we practiced this Saturday before coming back to Portsmouth in the Windsor Park there. And I'm telling you, so Sylvanos Alcide, which, right, considered my brother because Christian them, Sylvanos won that day. I can't remember the exact distance. Christy was second and I was third.
And you just practiced the Saturday.
Just the Saturday, look,
Wow.
hop, skip, jump. And I don't know what it was about the triple jump, but it was, I never had so much fun like that doing an event.
Which brought me to the question, why did you go to the triple jump, even if with the understanding that you were doing well in the other sports as well?
Yes, because it was fun. It was so much fun for me, boy. Look, boy, you just run in and hop, skip, jump. And then even before that, I kind of see, more I look back on those things, it's like, man, it was almost meant to be, because I remember, when I used to walk in Portsmouth, every little drain I used to see, boy,
You jump over
I
it.
used to try to jump over it.
Yeah.
Every little drain, and even by Mystelics there, by Daddy, by Perry, we used to have a little spot where there was a drain and then a little concrete to where the vehicle used to drive in to go park. And then there was another drain. Boy, I used to, little boy, since I remember myself, run and try to jump over that drain, run and try to jump. So the triple jump, it was just so much fun. And I'm like, okay. But at the time there was no one in Dominica who knew the triple jump or coaching the triple jump.
So that was pretty much new. It was just something
That was new. And so at the time, Christy was also a coach certified by the IAAF. So he used to get those IAAF quarterly magazines, just talking about events, and every time he would get those books, I turn this page. And whenever I see an article on triple jump, I will read. I mean, I could understand what the articles were saying, but from a vision perspective, I had never seen it done. So I didn't know.
That's one of the things. While you're speaking there, I was thinking, wasn't there any video or anything like that pretty much helped you guys? It's
at
just
those
only
time, no.
magazines only.
Magazines, right? Because at those time there was no YouTube, nothing, right? So I would read this thing, and then they'll have still pictures. So you see, and they talk about the hop, what you want to do. And I'm like, oh man, but I tell you, this thing was exciting to me. I would just read up on this thing. And then one year, boy, they say a coach from America coming down to Dominica. Boy, I was excited. I was waiting. And then I went, Rosu, the guy was there. Boy, I was so excited. I went to the guy, introduced myself. Hey, say, coach, yeah, man, I'm triple jump. So excited. Say, a coach come in. I really want to learn the triple jump. Can you teach me? Because I mean, triple jump, I hop, skip, jump. And
Yeah,
then
yeah.
So, boy, to my disappointment, this guy say, oh boy, I'm a throws coach. Which that threw me for a loop because, if somewhere you coach in Dominica, you coach everything.
Yeah.
So he said, I'm a throws coach. But he said, maybe I can see you jump and I can give you like a
Pointers,
pointers.
yeah.
So, I warm up and I practice, I do some jump. And the guy tell me, he's like, look, I don't know much about the event, but from the way you are leaning, like you're falling. So if you just try to keep your body upright, you'll probably do a little better. And he just showed me this drill where you hold a fence and you just try to hop
Yeah.
and just stay upright. I'm telling you, miss, I did that drill for a whole week every day.
Practice.
Just doing that drill.
Yeah.
And the next time I triple jump about 2 feet further than I ever triple jump.
Wow.
Just by that little thing, right?
It's technique, yeah.
Yes. And then so I started then, from what he tell me, like the lane, the posture, I started going back to the articles and watching those photos. I say, oh man, that's starting to make a little sense. Right? And then, come, I went to a few meets here, there. The first time I competed on a rubber track in Barbados CARIFTA games. I mean, again, faster surface. It was foreign, but faster surface. I ended up again jumping about 3 feet further to where now coaches start. The first time a coach from St. Vincent who used to be an athlete at the University of Idaho in Moscow, Idaho. And that's where one of our athletes who was an Olympian as well, Sherwin James, ended up competing. So he told this coach up there about me, and at the time this coach was Dan O'Brien's coach, and Dan O'Brien was a decathlete. So at the time he was actually the world record holder in the decathlon.
Yeah.
So this coach called me, and I was the first American coach that got in touch with me. He called me and he said, this is Coach Keller from the University of Idaho in Idaho, Moscow. In Moscow, yes, in Moscow, Idaho.
Yeah.
But for me, I mean, Idaho. The only thing we growing up, in of America is Miami and New York. You don't even know the states,
Yeah,
Miami
yeah.
and New York. So when I hear Idaho, Moscow, Idaho, the first thing I tell this guy, I don't want to go to Russia. Right? He said, no, and he explained, and then, he tell me Odd Ballantyne, who used to, again, from St. Vincent, went there and used to be a coach for St. Vincent,
Yeah.
told him about me, and he wanted to recruit me, and then I say, recruit? Well, he tell me, well, yeah, you come, and we pay for your school, and, you run for the school.
So
I
pretty
said,
much you got
okay.
a scholarship right there.
Well, yes. So but he did at the time. I really didn't know much about it.
Yeah,
Then he asked me about the SATs. So I said, SAT.
Yeah.
Well, what is that? So he explained to me
The exam.
it's a national exam that you take to see college readiness, and so I say, well, I don't know, but I'll find out. And it took me about 4 months to find out. Nobody seemed to could have find out. I went up to the Ministry of Education, and then finally, I guess the PS. I can't remember who the PS was at the time, but she was out of state. And then when she came back, she was the one who explained to me, yeah, the SAT, is the test, and but it's only offered once a year in Dominica,
Oh,
and
okay.
it had already passed.
Yeah.
Right, so I called the coach, and he told me, yeah, well, no problem. I'm going to pass your information on to another coach. And that was the coach from the junior college. And then he explained to me about, well, yeah, you don't need the SATs to go to junior college, right? You just get your transcript from your schools. And so long story short, that is how I ended up at Blinn Junior College, right? And so I was there for 2 years. And at the end of my 2 years, I was the best jumper in the junior college system. I had the junior college record. And then, I
And
was
that's all
being
in Moscow.
No, that was in Texas because
Texas,
remember
okay.
Moscow was the University of Idaho.
Yeah.
So that's where I needed the SATs. But that coach told another coach about me, the junior college, Blinn Junior College, that was in Brenham, Texas. So about 45 minutes south of Houston.
Yeah.
And again from that, so my first my and again the story too. So from the flight from Houston to Texas. So I landed in the airport, and I'm there waiting. I'm waiting for this coach, and so in my mind I'm looking for old white guy.
Yeah.
And I see this guy. This one guy pass with something say Blinn College. So I kind of disregard that, he passed because I see a young
Yeah,
white
yeah.
gentleman. Disregard that, and so I'm there in the airport, and he passed by again. So finally, I just went and asked him, "Hey, are you the coach from Blinn?" He said, "Yes." And then I say, "Well, I was expecting an older gentleman." He
Yeah.
said, "Are you the jumper from Dominica?" I say, "Yes." He said he was expecting a taller.
So both people
So
expecting
both people we
different
found,
things,
yes,
and it's
yes. He said he
completely
was
contrary.
expecting
Yeah.
completely contrary. And I tell you, bro, it's the first. It's amazing how much I learned in my first week at that junior college. From a track and field perspective, proper warm up, and literally the first time we were doing warm up with drills and stuff. I mean, the other guys were making fun of me. They were laughing
Yeah.
because I was the guy who was going same arm, same leg with drills. Never knew those drills that they were doing.
Yeah, yeah.
But man, I tell you, 2 weeks later, coach was using me as an example. He said, "Look,
Yeah.
watch Jerome do those
You're
drills,
showing
right?"
to it, yeah.
Yes, and I'm telling you. So, and then my first indoor competition in track and field was at the University of Arkansas. And I went there, man, and so I ended up from my personal best from Dominica to my first meet in the US. So when I left Dominica, and with something again that was so that a lot of people was amazed. I had jumped 24 feet 10 inches.
Wow.
And I
Okay.
told them running from grass and then taking off on the board. They say they couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
They said, "No, man, that's not possible." Right? And then also I had jumped 50 feet 10 inches in a triple, but that was at the CARIFTA Games, Barbados. So that was off a rubber surface. And then so my first meet, so after getting to Texas from in August, well, September, because I was late to school.
Yeah.
My first meet was in January. So from September to January, so you're talking 3 months, October, November, December. I went from jumping 24.10
To
to
50.
25.8
Oh, yeah.
in the long jump, and from 50 feet 10 to 54 feet 5 in the triple jump. So you're talking about 4+ feet improvement.
Yeah.
Just from learning proper mechanics, basically learning those events, right? Learning to run properly and all those things.
And
So
it's
go
kind of
ahead.
interesting when you're talking about learning these kind of things. It seems like you were self-taught in the beginning, and then persons. One of the things I like to point out is that a number of persons will always say, "Okay, I'm trying this and trying that," and they stop. They
Yeah.
don't want to continue. There's no consistency in it. They just stop, and then they figure, "Hey, that is it for me." But you had nothing, it seems like, in the beginning. All you had was motivation. You've seen other people do it, and you wanted to do it too. And
That's
in
it.
doing so, your consistency brought you to a number of other persons that brought you to the United States to then
Yes.
even beat. We'll talk about the world champions and this kind of things in a moment.
Yes.
But that just says something right there. That says something very important.
Absolutely, and again to point something out, yes, I mean I did that back in the days because I wanted to emulate my brother. That's my hero. And then for the love of it, I love, for some reason, I love running.
Yeah.
Except the getting up early in the morning.
Mm.
And I'll tell you who used to come and knock the window to wake me up.
Ooh.
Don Williams.
Okay, okay.
Don Williams, right? To where the early morning, the 1 mile jog. Every day before school, we'll jog up to 1 mile or to Purple Turtle and do some
With
exercises,
every
come
day
and then
before school, that's what you guys would do
every
it?
day before school, every day before school.
We have
Yes. And
definitely
then
fallen in this day and age.
hey, every day before school, and then you come and you bathe, and then you go to school,
Yeah.
right? And so yeah, so as part of those tech, and then when you especially you start doing these technical events, you think, yeah, I just like to run, and you run and jump, but there was so much to it, to where just in a space of 3 months, just getting some education about the events, or even just proper running technique,
Yeah.
that transfer to what big improvements,
But
right?
one of the things that I'm thinking of is what exactly, there was sports back then. I'm sure there was a
Yes,
sports minister.
yes.
What was the sports minister's involvement in you guys upbringing? Because from what I'm hearing is you were pretty much your own sports minister to help you do your thing, right there.
Yes. So, but part of it's I'll tell you, it was our sports teachers, right? I mean, so the early morning runs I'm talking
Oh
about,
yeah.
Mr. Fabian never miss one. Christy never miss one. Miss Aaron. And whether it's even for the kids that will come in for whether it's track and then football that benefited you, they were coming on the runs. Even the netballers, they were on the runs. And so you see in those mornings, it was not only just the track athletes. Miss Aaron was there for crew doing some netball training. So those sports teachers were very influential in what we did,
So it was more of a
right?
community kind of
Community,
involvement rather than
yes.
looking at those at the top. So what
Those at
exactly
the
was
top.
the point of the sports ministers though? What was their duty?
Well, I think with our system of government, right? I mean, there's ministries for everything. So you have
Yeah.
the Ministry of Sports, Ministry of Education, and obviously over the years they've made little changes. But I guess back in those days, to me, I see the Minister of Sports was the one that kind of oversees sports on island, but I would say mainly to the schools, right? And then you trickle down to the sports division.
Okay.
But to me, in my time, I really never saw saw any work from, like, let's say, yeah, this, what it is that the Ministry of Sports really did,
Yeah.
besides from the school's perspective and overseeing sports in the school system. So, but again, it was like we talk about, it was a community affair,
Yeah.
community effort. The teachers who were passionate about the youth and sports. I mean, they were the ones that poured their time into everything. I mean, Mr. Fabio was our English teacher. I mean, Christy taught history, and also played the role of sports teachers in the school. And I tell you, I mean, in my days, those guys were some of the biggest influence for kids who did sports and grew up having the love of just playing sports, right? And again, even it was a time when, I mean, you left school, you did your chores, and you went to the park, right?
Yeah,
And
there
so,
was nothing like TV. Well, I would want to
yes.
say or computer.
Well,
Everybody staying at the home. Everybody was pretty much outside, right there.
yeah, yeah. Well, with the TV, you've seen all the little memes where there's stuff going on and everybody outside the window, because there may have been one person in the neighborhood
Not a
that have
TV.
the TV and everybody want to see.
Yeah. But even with that understanding, I'm still trying to understand, like, because the way you're speaking is like you guys never really knew that sports could take you somewhere. It was pretty much just for fun and this kind of things there. But why did the teachers themselves, because you're talking about individuals waking up early in the morning to do runs, I mean, it's not just the athletes, but pretty much everybody involved in sports. Why was it so important? Why do you think it was so important for people back then, or for the teachers to to make that effort to ensure that you guys were heavily involved in sports, even though you did not know where it was going to take you?
Yeah, well, you see, because I think it was really, and when I look at it, it simply boils down, to that old mantra, mens sana and corpore sana, a healthy mind in a healthy body, right? And so I think for those teachers then, and obviously I can't necessarily speak for them, but I feel it's like one, it was a way of interacting with students outside of the classroom,
Yeah.
but also providing one, I mean, because like I tell you, I hated it, the getting up every morning, but
Yeah.
the discipline that it instilled in you, that is not just for sports, that
Yeah.
is for life,
Life. Yeah.
right? So I think one way it was for the teachers teaching life lessons through sports, and again for themselves, it's an opportunity again for them to also stay healthy, because
Yeah.
that, I mean, the morning runs, the dip in the water, and then you come back and you have some life, and you're feeling,
Yeah.
yes, I'm ready to be there, showing up 100% for my students, right? So I think it was just an avenue, I feel, for the teachers to teach the students
About
great
life.
lessons outside, yes,
And
outside of the
discipline. I think there
academic
was a
classroom,
discipline
yes,
aspect to it as well.
discipline, absolutely, absolutely. And like you mentioned, there was nothing, I mean, we didn't know, there was no big push of how far sports could take you. And I mean, at some point, right, in my time at home, I think there was only, I knew of maybe two other people, maybe three, that had left the island for on track scholarships. Bruce Phillips was one of them, Stephen Agar. Then we had Winston Waldron, right, who was a really good 100-meter runner at the time. And then there was, I think, Herman Joseph maybe left a little before me, right? But there was, I mean, there was no, I had no idea of how far sports
To
could
take
take
you.
you.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, you're looking at, from 1991 to now, it is so much more amplified. So not only opportunities in terms of, yes, I mean, I've gotten an education, came to the US, got a bachelor's degree, a master's degree with, I mean, for nothing. I didn't have to pay anything
Yeah.
because of, right, some sort of athletic talent that I
Yeah.
was blessed with, God blessed me with.
And the thing is,
And
you did
then,
not
no,
even know you had this thing inside of you.
no,
And I think,
I
bro,
didn't.
I think on the basis of education in itself, when I looked at the definition and I broke down the word, it comes from the word educere, educare, and that means to pull from. It seems like education back then was about pulling from the youth, pulling from your talent and skill sets, because you had no idea. That's the magical thing about it. Well, I wouldn't say
Yes.
magical, because I think this is very objective in itself, because you did not know where sports could take you.
Yeah.
All you knew, you like to jump, you like to run,
Yes.
and that was something that you love to do. You went to school, that was part of the curriculum where you had to run in the morning. You did not like it, but it also in turn put discipline in you. I think that's something that is very much lacking in today's age, because it seems like education now is indoctrinating you instead of pulling
Yes.
from your skill sets right there. So
Yes.
when you
No.
look at that whole thing, I mean, that says something. It doesn't seem like we're going forward. It seems like we're going backward.
Well, yes, yes, and in terms of, I mean, sometimes, I mean, when you look at it, even from a civil perspective, right? It's, you know, everybody think they are right, and everybody wants to be right, and
Yeah.
maybe so, but we no longer look at different perspectives,
Yeah.
right? And like you're saying, with the idea of education, yes, I mean, at some point we were pushed into the academia side
Academy,
of,
yep.
the education. But again, I mean, if you come back to the whole basics that were these philosophers even before us, I mean, as simple as a simple little Latin phrase, mens sana and corpore sana, healthy mind in a healthy body,
Yeah.
right? And too often I think we tend to focus on the healthy mind part of it, but not
Forget
taking
the
care of the
body.
body.
Yeah.
Yes,
As As you say that there, I remember looking at some of the health ministers across the world, and they
Yes.
are vastly unhealthy, telling people
Yep.
how to be healthy. I found that
Healthy. Yes.
very interesting.
Yeah, and that in itself, and then so basically you have someone like that tell you, well, don't do what I do, but do what I say,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. I think we
And
should
and
lead
and
by example. That's the
yes,
important part here.
and that's me. I mean, I believe in that because again, I mean, growing up, I had so many examples, so many people that you know, even before I knew. I mean, they saw something
Yeah.
and kept, and they kept pushing. And for me, I was like, okay, I'll keep doing it. I love it, right? And then next thing you know, I mean, from, leaving Dominica in 1991 to, 1992, I actually qualified for the Olympic Games in Barcelona, but could not go
Why?
because Dominica was not a member of the International Olympic
Ah,
Committee yet.
but you qualified
I
to be part
qualified.
of the Olympics.
Yes, and that same coach that I
Wow.
that I mentioned of, I mean, he at the time Mr. Sorrento was the sports minister. I mean, he wrote to Mr. Sorrento, and then he actually on his own wrote a petition to the IOC to to have me compete as an independent athlete. But that petition was refused because
Ah,
because there were some works in getting Dominica affiliated to the IOC, but it just hadn't it wasn't
completed, yeah.
approved yet. Yes, yeah. So and again, bear in mind that was just after leaving Dominica for 1 year. I left Dominica in September of 91. And then 92, August of 92, I had already qualified
For Olympics,
for
man, that man,
Olympic,
I tell you, bro, that
you
says
know.
something really. I don't know. I'm getting goosebumps right now, but it seems like that is a happy thing as well as a sad thing because there are a number of persons in Dominica right now that have the talent and skills but don't
Yes,
have the people to push them. One, two, they don't have the resources to even be able to push further because you are a clear example of that. You had to leave
yes,
Dominica for you to go overseas so you can even further your talents. It was an individual who came from overseas who even told you about better posture and himself was not even one who was involved in that specific field that you were
feels
in.
right. Yep. No, absolutely, absolutely. And
Man.
like I say, it's we could definitely look at it if we're looking at it from both sides. It definitely is. It's a sad situation because, and even from when I left, I was in my group of guys growing up. I wasn't one of the most talented guys.
Yeah.
And just to think, to one guy I could think just right off the bat, Curtis Sylvester, that we call Kanki, was one of the, I mean, when you talk about jumping,
Yeah.
this guy was one of the bounciest guys in our group,
He used to teach me
right?
PE
Yeah,
in
right.
high
And
school.
and so I feel, and I always tell Kanki, I mean, we remain friends to this day, and we often talk about our experiences. If this guy had gotten opportunities like I did, I mean, obviously he chose some different path, right?
Yeah.
I mean, Kanki was an exceptional athlete that could as well be on the world stage,
Yeah.
right? And I'm
Yeah.
telling you how sometimes, Mr. Lucas, some stuff work, right? I also played football. I was a pretty good football player. Matter of fact, I mean, I was the captain of the team in 1996 when 1986 when PSS won their first national competition. We won the under 16
Okay.
national competition, right? And again, we had fellas like Ian and Kanki was on that team, and you know, after, so remember, I left, went to Texas. Then from Texas, I went to the University of Arkansas. Um, and so in about my second year at the University of Arkansas, I met a few guys from Antigua, and they were playing football at a university down the street, John Brown University in Salem Springs, Arkansas, which was about 45 minutes from, maybe 30 minutes from the University of Arkansas in Fayetteville, Arkansas, the Razorbacks, right? And they said, we like, oh man, I want to come down and check out the school. And they told me, yeah, coach used to talk about two guys from Dominica that he wanted to come play football at John Brown. But when he visited Dominica, they showed him two different guys. So he left with nobody.
Okay.
And so I met the coach. And he said, wait, no, man, that can't be right. He said, Jerome Romain? I said, yes. He said, no, that's impossible. He said, and he gave me a story. So he came to Dominica, went to the Ministry of Sports, and told them, because I guess some Antiguan coach had told him about me and Ras, that's Cuthbert Sabin. And he wanted, again, to offer us football scholarships. But they brought him two guys.
That were not you guys.
From Roseau. That were not we guys. And the guy said, no, that's not who the coach told me about. And
So wait, let's go back. So he mentioned you guys' names.
Specifically.
So there was no mistake in that.
There was no mistake.
And instead they provided the specific two names, you and Ras.
Yes.
They gave them two
different guys.
Different guys. Who was the one responsible for that?
It was that Nostov thing, and
But that doesn't sound. That sounds like there's some kind of
still remain cordial and remain friends. So but yeah, it was just, but not right. But at the time, for me, I was like, wow. But that's how God make work in mysterious ways, right? Because they had presented me and Ras to him, our trajectory in life may have been a little different. But then I would have not gotten that track scholarship offer. And then,
well, I guess it worked out in that regard there.
In that regard.
But that was kind of like some sabotage vibes there.
Yes.
That's sabotage.
And you can still this day it happens.
Maybe I remember when I was younger, like a little boy, I think there was probably some sort of contention between Portsmouth and Roseau. Maybe they decided they wanted to give Roseau.
No.
Do you think it was something like that?
No, not think. I mean, there was, and I think maybe there still is today, because even this is stuff that I dealt with. And when you look at Christie, like I tell you, remember he was a wicked cricket player, pace bowler, made the West Indies youth team. He and again Walters. When you look at guys like Walters, Trini Boy. I mean the and then even before them, the history is there that there was some press from north to south, right? And again, to me, as a little boy, I couldn't understand it. And to me, not even as a grown man, it's even worse that I can't understand it, because at the end of the day, right, it's Dominica. It's not Roseau. It's not Portsmouth, right? It's Dominica. So I couldn't understand why this was happening, and they still be happening today, because I tell you, some of the same people are in charge of sports in certain areas. So
that means there's a staunching of the talent right there.
Yes.
Willful staunching of talent.
Willful staunching of talent, right? And
tell them stop their dirty ways. They don't learn.
Well, it has to, because one, I mean, it's because at some point growing up, and even though I almost used to say, and I used to say this a lot, I feel there's some people in those positions that feel because they didn't have those opportunities that certain people shouldn't have it.
Yeah.
Instead of really making the efforts, because I mean, right now it's so easy to find opportunities, right? It's just with the global village now, right? The internet, making those contacts, and again, looking at the flip side of it that we talk about, we have to also recognize, right? And I know, and we'll probably get to that at some point. One thing, systems build champions. systems build champions.
Struggles,
systems, but not necessarily. One of the big things that come up, well, the facility, system. You can have all the greatest state-of-the-art facilities, but if you don't have a system, a good system and a good implementation of a system.
Break that down for us, bro. Break that down for us. Right? Systems, talk to us.
So listen, for example, track and field, right? We're talking about talent. Dominica, I mean, we have talent. No different from the talent that Jamaica, you see Jamaica, Trinidad, those are Cuba, for example. Has, right? We have the talent. What we don't have is a proper system, a structure, right? Because you look at our system. Schools, we have the school system.
The
introduction of generally of every sport. Now we have some little football academies that are coming up. But with the school, we have a system. The school system, okay, you're on track for your school. We have our school sports day. House versus house. From that, we have, school versus school. And then you have maybe say the national meet. Apart from that, there's no other opportunities to compete unless you maybe make the CARIFTA games or regional, right? And so even with that, there's no system to where, okay, we have a program, a sprint program or a jumps program, where you have a jump coordinator, a sprint coordinator, and that person has a yearly plan for athletes in a system. And we have to get away from, hey, this is my athlete, this is my, right? Because certain coaches can take an athlete to a certain position, a certain performance. And at some point, as coaches, we have to recognize that, hey, you know what? Man, I've done everything I can possibly do for you. But guess what? Mystelics has a little more knowledge, a little more expertise in that area. I'm going to pass him on to you so he can further develop you. Right? And so that's on the small scale, on the national scale. So let's talk about it now on a scale of living Dominica. So our coaches also have to recognize that, hey, I mean, you have a coach. I have an athlete. There's the system. Bro, I can take you so far. But guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to make some connections for you so I can get you to someone else who can take you to the next level.
But that's moving that so to speak pride from yourself, because you are focused on the development of your athletes.
Yes, absolutely. And for example, in my case, like I tell you, the guy who recruited me from junior college, right? He went the year that I left him, because junior college you spend 2 years. So I signed with the University of Arkansas, let's say today. Next week, he left the junior college and went to the University of Wisconsin, which is again another Division I. So I immediately, when he told me, I said, oh man, I'm coming with you. He said, nah, 1, 2 things, you already signed the national letter of intent, so it'll be tough to get out of that. But he said, 2, the system that you are going into would be a better system. Would be a better system for you now, because I'm going to develop a system over there. The system, and at the time, the system that I went to at the University of Arkansas, we had Mike Conley, who was the Olympic champion in 1992, and we had Eric. I mean, it was a system where on any given day I was training with 5 of the top 10 guys in the world. Right? So he felt, no, I mean, that system would be a better system for you. And guess what? Every holiday, so when Christmas break, I went up to Wisconsin to train with him. Summer breaks, I went up to Wisconsin to train with him. And my coach at the University of Arkansas, he had no issues with it. They communicated with each other. They made sure we were on the right. And then my coach would tell him, okay, these are some of the things that he really need to work on, and vice versa. So it was a teamwork.
So 2 is better than 1 then? Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Right. And then no, the funny thing about that, the coach that I'm talking about from the University of Arkansas, Coach Dick Booth, this guy, when you look at the American system, what is one of the best jumps coaches in the US on an Olympic World Championship level, he has the most medals in the jumps, from the high jump to the long jump to the triple jump.
And he was
At
your
the time, he
coach.
was one of, yes, and but he had no pride in saying like, hey, you can go work with Mark, because I can tell him here, this is what I want you to work with. This is
Yeah.
what, right? So we have to we have to recognize that in Dominica as well, to where, you can take an athlete, whether a youth athlete, to that level, even if you just introduce him to the event, and he's new to the event, but he gets to a point. You have to have enough confidence in your ability to say, you know what, Jay, I can't do much more for you.
Yeah.
I'm going to send you, or I'm going to ask so and so to at least come,
To take you
right?
to
And
another level.
yes,
Yeah.
to take you to another level,
But
or
that
let it
shows
be a
caring, man. That's you actually care
caring.
for the athlete too.
Yes, yes, yes,
And now you are a
yes.
world champion. You are all these things. In fact,
Yeah,
let us talk about that very thing right there. So with all
yes,
this uncertainty, not knowing what to do, getting into something, you pretty much have the genetic makeup as somebody who was very short, doing all this kind of long jump and high
yes,
jump and these things there, and you got the opportunity to go to the United States and through scholarships, and then participating in the school sports arenas and destroying the competition out there. And then what was your first medal, so to speak, when it comes on to the international arena? Or what can you tell us the steps leading to the world championship and then to the Olympics? Can you tell us
yes,
the
yes. So
different,
yes, so all right. So I'll say, so in 1991, like I said, it was my first world championship. So I
yeah.
went as a, every country could send two athletes. So I was, not at that level, but you got to participate.
Yeah.
And again, like I said, that was the opener for me. So world championships were, every 2 years. So in 1993, I actually had the qualifying distances. So I was a qualified athlete for Dominica, going
For
to the
triple
world
jump.
championships for the triple, and also did long jump as well.
Okay.
And that was at in Stuttgart, Germany, right? And again, at the time, the NACAC had also set up a little system to where the smaller countries, they could go, train at a certain area. But I ended up again just, staying with my coach at the junior college, and so 1993 went to Stuttgart, Germany, and actually made the finals in the triple jump. So I was 11th. So again, going from an unqualified athlete in Tokyo to 1993, I was 11th.
By the way,
Then
did you get any medals in Tokyo?
no
No. Okay.
medals.
All right.
Tokyo was just an experience.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Tokyo was an experience. Then again, like I said, 1993, made it to the world champs, made it to the finals, and was 11th. Then 1995, well, 1994, Commonwealth Games, I actually had the top jump actually of the entire competition, but it was done in the qualifying round, so that didn't count. And I end up coming fourth at the Commonwealth
Okay.
Games
Okay.
in Victoria. And then 1995, and all that time I was, the NCAA runner-up in the triple jump at the US NCAA
Yeah.
championships. One of my teammates was won. And then 1995, ended up being my best year at that level. But it was also in some ways almost my worst year. I mean, I actually almost quit
Why?
triple jumping
Talk
in
to us.
1995. So I tell you, so training, I mean, things were going really well in training. The meets, man, I'm doing really well. And then went to the NCAA indoor championships, and I literally had the worst meet since I've been in the US, and I'm talking from 1991 to the junior college. worst meet. And then, I went back and I was analyzing the videos, and at the time I have a little more knowledge of,
Yeah.
and I just couldn't understand, like, man, what's going on? And I was frustrated. I went to my coach's office, and I'm like, Coach, I don't think I can do this anymore. Then we had a long talk. He's like, why, is there anything going on at home? What's going on? Like, no, there's nothing. It's just I got in this mental state to where I was like, man, I've had enough of this. This thing is just not working right. And I'm telling you, I had to go to the Pan American Games in Mar del Plata, Argentina in March.
Okay.
And I told him straight up, Coach, I don't want to go. Because that meet, or NCAA meet, the indoor meet, was early March. The Mar del Plata was a little later. I told him I don't want to go. Anyway, he convinced me. He's like, hey, you're not going to miss any school. We have spring break, so just go. Maybe if anything, you get away from the school environment, you
Yeah.
take a little break. And I went there, and literally it was hindsight. I'm glad I did, right? Because I actually competed in the long jump, make the finals, but end up not competing in the finals because I had some little pain in my
Yeah.
in my shins. Come for the triple jump, man. I went, warm ups, and one of my teammates, who was from Bermuda, Brian Wellman, who was the world indoor champion in 1995. He said, "Bro, you flying." I'm like, man, I was just testing the runway. So I was like, okay, so that's probably a good sign. So first jump of the competition, boom, national record. I PR'd by about a foot. I was
Just
like, I
that
don't.
that's interesting.
I was like, I
Just
don't.
after you felt like giving up,
Giving
you
up.
had a
Yes,
national record, man.
yes. Then I was like, I
Wow.
don't know, bro. Bro, I don't know what's going on, but I like it.
Yeah.
So come to the finals. We had these Cuban guys, because at the time, I mean, in the Pan American, the Cubans and the Americans, they always dominate.
Yeah.
So the Cuban guy, I mean, he actually at the time came an inch from the world record. And again, came finals, boom, national record again. So that's where I got that silver medal at the Pan American
Ah,
Games
okay.
in Mar del Plata, Argentina. So that was my first medal on that stage, right? And then came back, and it was totally different. I mean, the pen relay records, with the pen relays, which is one of the biggest collegiate meet in the US. Matter of fact, I still have the pen relay records in the triple jump. And coincidentally, THEA also has the pen relay record
For the
in
females.
the in yes, for,
Yeah.
for the female, right? And then that same year later down, we went to the CSE games in Guatemala, and I again won the CSE championships in Guatemala. But I had a jump at that meet that the official had to get down on his knees and then came up with the red flag. And I'm like, man, so I asked him to measure it, and he measured it, and it was 1760. So one of my best jumps. So I was like, okay. So 2 weeks, so right after Guatemala, we left and went to Germany for training prior to the World Championships in Sweden. And literally, I for that 2 weeks, I told myself I'm not going to be in the position where I fall a big jump like that again.
Yeah.
And so approaches was one of my biggest focus. And then we went, on to the World Championships in Stuttgart. Not Stuttgart, sorry, in Gothenburg, Sweden, in 1995. And again, qualifying, first jump qualifying, national record, 1748. And so you get to leave. And really, that thing didn't hit me till I left the stadium, went back to the athletes' hotel, showered. I say I'm going to relax, and I turn on the TV, and my training partner slash coach, who was Mike Conley, who was again the 1992 Olympic champion in the triple jump, was on the runway taking his third jump in the qualifying. And that's when it hit me. like, wow, oh my goodness.
What big stage you was on? Yeah.
Yes, did I just do that?
Yeah.
Yes, my coach, Olympic champion. There, he's still trying to get a jump to make it to the finals.
Yeah.
And so I had the top qualifying jump going into that meet. And then on the final stage, yeah, obviously we know how it ended. Jonathan Edwards broke the world record, and to this day, the world record in the triple jump
Still
is
stands. Yeah.
from that meet, still stands, right? And I my training partner, who the guy I spoke of earlier, Brian Wellman from Bermuda, got the silver medal, and I got the bronze medal.
Nah.
And so the Cuban guy that beat me at the Pan American Games, who came an inch from the world record then, he was actually fourth in that same competition. And we had the same jump, same leading jump, but I had a second best jump than him. Right. And so that is how that became that first medal for Dominica on the world stage, right, at the World Championship. And to be quite honest, I mean, it was a humbling moment for me, and just knowing where it all started,
Yeah.
right
So
there
true.
in Benjamin's Park,
Yeah.
bro, right,
Without
right there, Benjamin,
facilities, but you guys had the
without
system though.
facilities. Yes,
You
because the
had the
system
system.
that, right,
Interesting. Yeah.
you know, and often, you will hear, people, and I think I'm kind of pointing to that because one of the big things that I'm seeing now, oh, we win this and we don't have this, and I think Tia in one of her interviews mentioned about, all we need is the land to build the facilities. Bro, I mean, and Andy Burkard, right?
Yeah.
Very, I mean, instrumental in trying to get these things done. And I'm telling you, there was a lot of there was a lot of opportunities
Yeah.
from for Dominica to have had a facility at that point in the game. Stemming from, again, I mean, really, starting with my medal at the World Championships in 1995, right? And to where, there was one guy in the IAAF, Italian guy, Locatelli, who had committed. He said, look, the IAAF will will front the cost of a facility, but again, you had to have certain things in place, the
Yeah.
land and the location and all that. There was works again of a training center, right? The JRTC. I mean, again, I have plans. Andy has the plans. The Jerome Romain Training Center, with the idea of again the talent that we have, trying to get a system implemented. So again, I will come back. While the facilities is great. I mean, it's if it would
It's
be great if we
necessary.
have,
The
it's
facilities are
necessary.
necessary,
Yes,
but the
but you have to
system
have
needs
the
to be in
system.
place. I think
You have to
we
have the
working on the
system.
system first. Yeah.
Yes, the system, and then I'll say, I mean, coaches, there have to be some involvement, because I know, I mean, there are a lot of IAAF certified coaches in Dominica, but their services are not being used, or they are not providing their services, right?
Yeah.
Because all we need, I mean, like you say, the reason myself, Don Williams, all these kids used to show up is because they were coaches. They were,
Yeah.
we know, and it was almost like, I want to be there because I don't want to disappoint Mr.
Yeah.
Fabi. I want to be
Yeah.
there because I don't want to disappoint Miss
Yeah.
Aaron. I want to be there. And then not knowing, right, the disappointment that they wouldn't care if we don't come. But it's like when we show up, they're like,
They're
and
happy
then
that you
I'm
guys
telling
are
you,
there.
bro, to this day, it's difficult for me to sleep past 6. Because it's a habit,
It's innate in you.
right?
Yeah.
It's innate, yeah. And then, it's so, one of my coaches used to always say, like, I mean, good habits, right? Or either between, let's say, winning or losing. Winning is a habit, losing is a habit. So just that you can have good habits and bad habits. So the more good and the more small things that we do right, the bigger things will become, right? So at some point, we have to focus on some of the small things,
Yeah.
which for me, in a system, building a system, it's a big thing, but it's also a small thing, right? It's because you have to start, it's the foundation, and then build from that foundation. Right, because
Yeah.
if you build a house, you're not going to build a wood foundation and then put concrete
Yeah,
on the
it'll
rest. It will
crumble. Yeah, you
crumble,
need a good.
right? Yes,
No,
yeah,
no,
yeah.
no. Thinking about that, what do you think the reason is why people tend to leave Dominica? I'm thinking of Tia. She had to leave Dominica. Thinking of you as well, Mr. Jerome. You had to leave Dominica. Why do you think that it was necessary, so to speak, so that you would leave? I mean, you mentioned the system, yes, but what do you think individuals, athletes from Dominica need to leave Dominica for them to do better?
Yeah, well, I mean, one again, I'll come back to the point of really, I mean, as an individual, whether it's a young man, young girl growing up, or even as a parent, right, or someone with a family, one of the main drivers in anyone's life, right, is to better themselves, is to create opportunities, more opportunities for themselves or either for their family, right? And so for me, again, it was a choice. One, really, if you remember, I say I didn't want to leave because at the
Yeah.
time, I was out of school, even working at grammar school as a sports teacher. So I was comfortable. But my sister Frederica, recognizing that opportunity because she herself had left Dominica to go study overseas, recognizing that boy, you might that opportunity, you better start packing your bags, right? And so for me, hindsight, yeah, absolutely. I mean, it was a great opportunity for me, one, to get an education. And
Yeah.
really that was the number one goal, to get an education. Athletics became a bonus, right? And because again, from the junior college, when I went to University of Arkansas, completed my bachelor's in kinesiology and then my master's. That was my main focus.
Yeah.
But in doing so, man, I started excelling in athletics. So
Yeah.
so really, the to answer the question about why, I mean, it is to create better opportunities, right? To better yourself. It's just like you look at it from even basic human perspective. If you have a job, right, and a better opportunity, a pay raise or something comes along, right? I mean, you have to explore those opportunities. So I think really that's one of the case the main thing, better
But
opportunity.
yeah, but what would keep? I mean, I understand the involvement of probably going overseas for you to get a better job or better salary
Yes.
or these kind of things. But what would keep an athlete in Dominica? What would keep them in
You-
Dominica and say, okay, because we've been talking about, you going overseas and getting better training and this kind of things there. And then Thea, I
yes.
remember speaking about that same sentiment, having to go overseas. And she's like, we don't always need to go overseas. One day, we need to have the facilities so that athletes don't need to go overseas and get better. What would keep athletes in Dominica? Let's make it specific. What would keep athletes in
Yes, so
Dominica?
well, so I would say yes. I mean, absolutely, a system where athletes could be on the world class level or to be at the top of their game in whatever sport it is, right? I mean, whether it is track and field, basketball, football. I mean, in terms of, let's say, in terms of track and field specifically, the marquee of track and field is what Tia did, winning an Olympic gold medal, right? That how you keep athletes in Dominica is getting a system, facilities that will put them in positions to do that, right? And so again, I mean, it is not something I would tell you that's going to happen overnight. It may take another 30 years. It's not going to happen overnight because, for example, you look at, say, a like Jamaica specifically. Jamaica won their first Olympic medal in 1948, I think, if I'm not mistaken, right? And obviously, I wasn't around at those time to know what kind of system they have. But since then, they've developed a system to where, the Jamaicans feel that, hey, I don't necessarily have to leave Jamaica to be successful in track and field.
Yeah.
On the flip side, many of them do, because when you look at the educational part of it as well, many of them do choose, hey, I'm going to the US mainly to get in the US system, right? And not only to get that education, but also to be on that world stage. Could they do it in Jamaica? Absolutely.
Yeah.
But again, some, like in every situation, people are different. Some choose to stay there and compete. Others choose to go. And then sometimes some that leave, they come back and continue training. Because again, I know of several athletes that came here to the US, from Jamaica, got into the US system and decided, after a while, I'm going to go back.
Yeah, but
Right?
the thing
So
is, in Jamaica, they don't really have to go overseas. They choose to go
no,
overseas maybe because they want something additional with the
yes,
talent that they have. But they pretty
yes.
much get
So
all the training and the thing that they need in Jamaica. Because you
yes,
mentioned
so
that some come to the United States and then they go back to Jamaica and train.
yes, no, absolutely, and that's what I'm saying. It's not something that's going to happen overnight. Because, like I said, with Jamaica winning their first gold medal in the 1940s, right? Then you have to Don Query again winning Olympic sprint prowess in the 1960s,
Yeah.
and so there's a system that they have created that, again, even many of our sister islands, for example, Julian Alfred. Yeah, born and bred in Trinidad, but I mean in St.
St.
Lucia,
Lucia,
excuse
yeah.
me. Yeah, I know Julian's coach really well, right? But at some point he had the feeling like, hey, Juju, I've taken you as far as I can get you. Maybe we should go to Jamaica. And she agreed there, yes, because she see what they did there.
Yeah.
Went to Jamaica, and then from Jamaica, she also then made the decision, hey, I'm gonna come in the US system, right? And again, it's not something that's really going to happen overnight. The medal in 1995 was a little spark, and this Olympic gold medalist of Thea, obviously with
Yeah.
Thea, it was a little different situation. Obviously, she didn't make the choice to leave. I mean, her parents did, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so she ended up in the US system very early.
But
But
do you
again,
think if Thea was in Dominica, she would have gotten the gold medal?
no chance,
No chance.
no chance, because we don't have the system and the expertise.
So that means you have to leave.
Right now, yes, you do. And we're looking at Tia, and I'm telling you, so even let's go back to some of the athletes that maybe many Dominicans don't even know about, or haven't, maybe just know of on the local stage. And I will come back to my sister Dawn Williams, right? Do you know Don Williams was an NCAA champion in the 800 meter, indoor champion, NCAA indoor champion, right? Went on to the 1996 Olympics, barely missed the final. She was ninth. They were taking eight, right? And then at the peak of her career, 1996. I mean, I don't know, for whatever reason, decided, hey, I can't continue, because it's very difficult. And even in my situation, at the University of Arkansas, while as a student at the University of Arkansas, I had nothing to worry about in terms of, injury treatment. I mean, everything was available there.
Yeah.
But once I was done with the University of Arkansas, I mean, you on your own. So now you have to find a job,
Yeah.
you have to find ways to survive while trying to be. So it's very difficult, and we have many athletes. I mean, even thinking about it, Tyrone Benjamin, for example, who was a pretty good thrower for Dominica,
Yeah.
who could have been at that Olympic level. I mean, I was at the Pan American Games with him in 2000, even though our current president of the D3 is Brandon Williams. I mean, you know,
Yeah,
he
yeah.
had to go Cuba, looked into coming into the US system, but you know that didn't work out. There's a list. The list can go on and on and on. It's like I said, it's not something that's going to happen overnight.
But
And
you know, the way I always look at things, I always check in.
mhm,
You go overseas, you get the training overseas. Like you mentioned, if
yes,
Thea was in Dominica, she would not be what she is today. She had to go
yes,
overseas. So should Dominica really? I mean, yeah, you have the bloodline, your parents from there, you
yes,
from there, yeah. But should, and this is just something I always think of. I'm not saying that it's a good thing or nothing of that. I'm just saying,
yes.
should Dominica really take the claim, so to speak, or should Saint Lucia take the claim because went to go Jamaica, Julian Alfred? Should Saint Lucia, should Dominica, should countries where the athletes go overseas to train really take the claim for these athletes?
Yes, yes, absolutely. Because here's why. Here's why. I'll say this. Remember in the beginning of our conversation, right? The things that I mentioned.
Yeah.
That journey didn't start for me when I came to the
Ah, yeah,
US,
yeah, okay.
right? That journey started,
With the
like I said, with
system.
people, with the system, people like your mom, Mr. Elvio, Mr. Barilo, Mr. Fabian. That system started
Yeah.
there. Right. And again, I mean, again, for me, in my case, I left Dominica when I was 19. Right. I
Yeah.
won a medal. So they absolutely can because again, it's that village, that instillment
The
of
budding process. Yeah.
yes, the voting process, right? The
Okay.
seeds that were planted because because you know people talk about right. Hey, Miss Felix, I want you to plant a tree. You're going to plant that tree. You might tell me, well, why? Why I have to plant that tree? It's not going to benefit me. Yeah, it might not. But guess what? Some years down the line, an
Yeah.
old man will sit under that tree because that's the only place he can find
Shade,
shade.
yeah.
And it's because of you
Yeah. So
planted
it
that seed.
benefits later. Okay,
Many,
yeah.
yes,
But
yes,
because you
yes,
planted it
yes,
today.
yes. Absolutely, they have the we can claim that. They can claim that.
Okay, now,
They,
now on the basis of Thea. Thea, when
yes,
Thea won, I'm sure you were following Thea, you know, when she probably
yes,
started or maybe later on midway, and her
yeah.
progress, you know, winning a number of competitions, you know, and then winning the Olympic gold medal for
Yes.
Dominica.
Yep.
What went through your mind at that time? I would have really liked to have a camera set up and you watching this and then see your reaction. But tell us what went on when you saw that happen.
Yeah, you know what? I'm telling you, I hadn't had a prouder moment in my life
Yeah.
as a Dominican. Right? Just watching that happen. I mean, you know, I'm talking about it and I'm getting Vian pool now, you know, she right, right? Because one, the fact that I've been on that stage, I know what it takes, and then to see her on that stage, and then knowing, boy, I'm gonna see that flag being raised
Yeah.
and the national anthem being played. I mean, it's a moment that I would say by far would be most proudest moment in my life as a Dominican, and I don't think maybe in my lifetime there will be anything
Yeah.
else that could top that. If anything, yeah, we get more medals, but this one, yeah,
The first one is
this
always
was
magical.
yes,
Yeah.
yes, and you know, coming back, so Tia, I followed Tia because I actually. When I was coaching at the University of Tennessee, I recruited Tia from high school. Right, obviously she chose the University of Maryland,
So did you know she was
and
Dominican back then?
yes,
Okay,
so
okay.
actually I had another coach who actually had mentioned it to me since she was in high school, and then coincidentally I almost ended up coaching THEA at the University of Maryland
Mm.
because when my boss contract wasn't renewed at the University of Tennessee,
Mm.
the new coach came, brought in her own coaches. I was offered a job at the University of Maryland,
Mm.
but at the and then THEA was going into a senior year,
Mm.
but at the time it just wasn't the right fit for my family. I mean,
Mm. Mm.
the what they were offering, so I chose to remain out of college
So you
coaching and
came
stay.
this close
Yes,
to
yes,
training her,
yes,
yeah.
yes. And then actually had the opportunity to coach her a little bit at the CARIFTA games, one of the
Oh,
CARIFTA
okay.
games
Mm.
in Bahamas.
Oh,
So
so you actually
and
met her before? You met her?
yeah, yeah, yeah. No,
Okay.
and then yes, and then
Mm.
actually at the 2019, I was the Dominica's coach at the World Championships in
Yeah.
in London.
Mm.
So where she was an athlete,
Mm.
so I had the opportunity to be for Interact, and I actually know her husband when I was coaching at Brown University. He
Mm.
was an athlete at Cornell University. So yeah, yeah. So I knew Thea before that, and
Mm.
had the opportunity to interact a little bit. So
Okay, okay. And on the basis of her, you training her during the CARIFTA games, what was that like?
yeah, I mean, it was obviously at the time she was already a student at the University of Maryland,
Mm.
and her coach I knew Andrew Valmore could not make it to the games, but I was down there recruiting,
Mm.
and so I helped her at the time. She was doing the multis and high jumping,
Yeah.
so for me it was just although I coached at a different school
Mm.
and she was at a different school, it was just, yeah, I'm down here at the Dominican. I'm going to help her out,
Yeah, yeah.
So,
Mm.
yeah, again, it was just another moment of, I love coaching.
Mm.
I don't know, looking back, that's what I've always been involved in
Mm. Mm.
sports and just always helping and coaching. So, yeah, it was a good
So
little
okay,
experience.
so now in looking at Thea, did you see
Yes.
promise in her when you saw how she did her forms and this kind of thing? What would you have said to for her to improve her on her skill set, so to speak?
Yes, absolutely. From the first time, again, I've watched her in college. I mean, Thea, for many people probably don't know, she also did the multi-events, right?
Mm.
So she did the heptathlon. Very talented across the board, from
Mm.
hurdles to long jump to high jump. She's she was just talented. And when she decided, yes, to focus on the triple, like I said, I had the opportunity to be at the 2019 World Championships with the Dominica team,
Mm.
and saw her and what she did. Had some conversations with her coach at the time. I think I felt one of the biggest things, she needed to fix her approach a little bit. I felt it was a little too boundy,
Mm.
in the back, which didn't give her enough opportunity to get to top speed before getting to the board.
Mm.
Talk to her coach, who was not yet her husband, but talk to him about it, and
Mm.
But yes, I mean, I knew the talent. I
Mm.
saw it immediately in the triple jump, and obviously, when you look at her progression over the years. And one of the things that I felt that they needed to do was to properly time her peak,
Mm.
right? Because say over some of the years you saw that she had really really big jumps early in the season, but as the later season
Mm.
came when it really counted, I mean, that was lacking. And I
Mm.
think over the last couple of years, I think they've really figured that out. And again, when we talk about support, could that have been as a result of the support that she was receiving?
Mm.
Absolutely, because
Yeah.
now she has a little more time to train and rest, and so Mr. League, there's a science.
Mm. Oh
Sports
yeah.
is a science, right? So again, the combination of that, I mean, putting everything together at the right time, right timing, and again,
Technique,
some
yeah.
luck, right? Yes, and with sports come luck. I mean, because again, as we have it, obviously people that follow the triple jump would know. I mean, the Venezuelan queen Rojas, she's been dominating the triple jump for the last 5 years.
Yeah.
You know, unfortunately for her, she tore her Achilles tendon earlier this year and was unable to participate. And when that happened, when I saw that report, the first thing, I mean, I communicate a lot with Andy. The first thing I texted Andy way back in March, right? Way back in early March, February. I immediately called Andy and I told him, hey, we're gonna prepare for an Olympic gold medal because she had the chance. Because right
Yeah.
with Roas, I think with Roas in it, I mean she's actually the world record holder both indoors and
Yeah,
outdoors.
yeah.
So yeah, and you know it brought it together, and when you look at even the event itself, you know, first jump 14:30, well, obviously qualifying
Yeah.
14:35, that's the minimum mark. One jump, you go home. The finals, 14:32 on the first jump, right? From behind the board, you make minor adjustments, 15:02 on the next jump. After that jump, same thing. Yeah, I text Andy and I tell him, hey, no, that's a gold medal winning jump right there. Simple. I didn't have to even see the rest of the competition.
Yeah, yeah.
And then you know the again you saw the progress, you know, with the American 1467
Yeah.
and
And the
then
Jamaican.
yes, the Jamaican and then
But
really after
even with that, I remember you talking about your height and you jumping
yes,
distances and heights and these things there, and I'm thinking of Thea as well. Thea, the
yes,
Jamaican has a lot of tower over her, and
yes,
she jumped
yes,
15, and the Jamaican tried to jump it. She tried her best, man.
yes, yes.
Well,
And
given the
I mean
circumstance, she tried to jump
stances,
it, but she
yes.
didn't make it. Do you
Right.
think Thea can well just go ahead.
No, so I would say obviously, you know, and you look at technique. I mean, the stuff that I mean, as a triple jumper and as a coach, I will see immediately. I mean, I
Yeah.
can break things down from the first step to the landing. I mean, every single one of those athletes has more in them.
Yeah.
I mean, Thea could jump 15, 60s plus, coming to close to world record, right? With little minor corrections. For
Yeah.
me, I could, you know, see it immediately. Ricketts, same thing. I mean, her stature, obviously, she's very tall, so you know her phases are
Yeah.
going to be, but she could be a lot quicker on the ground, stay upright, you know, a little longer, because you can see if you analyze some of those videos. I'm saying with Ricketts in particular, her hip height is still going up, but her chest is coming down. That
Yeah.
immediately holds the jump. So there's a lot of, I mean, every one of those athletes could improve the distances by making little minor corrections. But again, I mean, as athletes, you work on your strengths, right? I mean, for me as a shorter triple jumper, my strength was my speed. I was very fast,
Yeah.
and then I mean I was very powerful, right? Again, you know, with every athletes and their stature, there's certain strengths and obviously weaknesses, and then as an athlete, what you have to do is to make your weakness as close to your strengths as
Yeah.
possible.
Or,
You
or
know,
try to solve them, so to speak. Try
yes,
to
yes, yes.
improve
Solve
on
or
them. Yeah.
minimize, right? Yes, yes. So if you have a gap, you know, strength, weaknesses, all you gotta try to close this gap.
Close the
So
gap. Yeah. So do
but
you
yeah,
think
she's
do you think she
go
can
ahead.
break the world record, or do you think she has reached
Potential,
her
absolutely.
her,
No,
her
no, no, no. She,
okay.
uh, she hasn't reached her potential. She hasn't reached her max here. Yes, I mean
Okay.
she still has room to grow, and I mean you know, world record. We're talking 60 something centimeters. That's a lot, but it's
Yeah.
also not a whole lot if you look at it in phases. Right, small improvement. You talk 10 centimeter improvement on the first phase, 10 centimeter improvement on the second, 10 centimeter on the third. Right there, that's 30 centimeters. So all of a sudden, you're
30
in the range of
centimeters.
yes, yes,
Okay.
right.
Okay.
So you're looking at and what I usually tell my athletes, don't look at I want this big improvement. Look at it in phases because you have those three phases to get the big number. So
Yeah.
absolutely, I think, and obviously with sports, I mean the main thing is staying healthy,
Mm.
right? Because we with the amount of time and training that you put in,
Yeah. Stress on the body as
it,
well. Yeah.
yes,
Mm.
yes, injury is part of the game.
Mm.
So just managing that whole aspect of it, and then comes also the mental aspect
Mm.
of it, and managing those things, and so I think she'll be around for a while.
Mm.
Again, if you're looking at the men's world record, Jonathan Edwards, I mean,
Mm.
he was 30 when he broke the world record.
Yeah.
So it's an event that you get better with age because
Mm.
it's so technical, you
Mm.
know.
I guess your body adjusts as well. Your
Yes,
body
yes,
adapts to what you're
yes.
doing, and then
Yep,
okay,
yep, yep.
okay. But how tall are you now?
I'm still, I claim 5'9", but I'm
uh,
5'8 3/4. Yeah.
oh, like I'm 5'11". I tell people I'm 5'11 and a half. I tell people I'm 6. So
Yes, yes, yes. And
yeah,
and then the thing I think that I have really long legs, right? I mean,
yeah.
because again, I would stand, next to triple jumpers and you see their stature, but
Mm-mm.
my legs are really long, so I
Yeah,
think
so
that
that
was
give you an
my
advantage. Yeah.
the
Okay, okay.
advantage there. Yeah,
Mm.
so.
No, my question: have you ever thought of coming back to Dominica and do some training, or you're hoping for individuals to reach a certain level before you can
Yeah,
come
no,
on with
well,
them?
so again, as long as if someone calls me and gives me a plan, and
Mm.
it's a plan that I can get with, and systems are in place, I'll be there.
Okay.
I've been saying that for the last 15 years.
Mm.
And
Last
and
15 years, apparently the
yeah,
system's
and
still
and
not
then
there.
and then the closer that I get, obviously, again, I mean, in life, like I say,
Mm.
I mean, as a man, my family is my number one
Yeah, yeah,
priority,
yeah.
right?
Mm.
I have, three girls. One is 22. She's a
Mm.
senior at Yale, also track athlete,
Okay. Mm.
runs at Yale, and one is a junior, she's also a track athlete, runs
Mm.
at Stanford, and then I have a 14-year-old who's going to be starting high school this year, so
Mm.
4 years. Once she gets in college, I'm I'm
Track.
I'm I'm open. I'm done.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay. Okay.
and she's
Well, I
she's
guess you
very
have
good
your
at.
own team to help
Yes,
formulate
yes,
and
she's
yeah.
yes, she's very very good football player as well,
Mm.
and I mean to the point where she's been invited to
Mm.
US developmental programs, looking
Mm.
at the national teams, and some stuff I really don't necessarily want to go into here. They
Mm.
they all have ambitions to represent Dominica at some level, but
Yeah.
things that they can't at this point.
Mm.
I don't know why, but
Mm.
hopefully those things will be ironed out
Yeah.
soon
Yeah. Yeah.
enough, and so that they they could get their Dominican passport and
Yeah,
you know
yeah. And organized. Yeah, I agree. I
yeah,
agree.
yes,
But I'm quite happy that I had this conversation with you on the basis of what was happening back then, and just being one of the individuals, especially knowing that Dominica got a gold medal in the very sport that you yourself had no clue that you
yes,
were gonna actually be good in, and getting gold medals and a number of medals on the world stage and the international platform. And now you're seeing Thea as well doing that, and of course there's a lot of things that she can most likely improve on. Everybody's not perfect, but
yes.
doing something. So hoping, making an assumption, if she were to break the world record, how long would you think it would take
Um,
as moving forward from now?
yeah, yeah. So I would say one, obviously, because of the with sports like this year, I would say maybe it's not going to happen this year. One, because
Mm.
of the emotion and the emotional ride of the Olympics,
Yeah.
right? I mean,
Mm.
obviously she's going to continue competing for the rest of the year.
Mm.
But when you train and you train for a certain event and to get to that level, then there's that little plateau.
Yeah.
So, but I would say. it's a possibility in the next 3 years. Again, barring any serious injury, and that she continue on that trajectory. Because again, once with thing, there's come certain barriers, right? The 15
Yeah.
meter mark for the women's triple jump is a barrier that, wow, it's uh for women, you think, yeah, it's going to be tough to get to that. But once you cross that threshold, then it's easier to do it,
Yeah.
right? And then again, like I said, it's just continuing with her training, getting stronger, getting faster, staying healthy. Really, at
Yeah.
this point in the game, is staying healthy, so you could keep training and making those minor improvements. And really, more so is improvement in technique. At that, once you get at that level, because you can only get so much faster, so much stronger. I
Yeah.
mean, but you can always do little minor things to improve technique and improve the efficiency of the jump.
Yeah.
Um, um, so she's going to be a factor in the triple jump for quite a while.
Well, yeah, and she's been training hard. Hopefully, we get to bring her
Yes,
on the podcast so we can have a little, conversation with her. Hopefully, that happens.
yes,
Sometimes
yes,
busy
yes,
and all these things, it can be
yes,
a bit
yes,
of a situation right there. But I just want to wish her the best. I just want to, hope that she can also, motivate others to also do the same thing too. There's a number of talents. Hopefully, the powers that be in this day and age in Dominica, hopefully they get to push aside themselves so that
yes.
others who are actually showing potential, they can then motivate them and push them further to even become Olympians. To
Yes, no, no,
Yeah.
absolutely, and again, to kind of expand on what you just mentioned. I mean, we as a people in the country, it's whenever a Dominican succeed or get some success in whatever field that it may be, man, Dominicans are proud
Yeah.
people, man.
You see what they
You
did
know,
with Alec and Kavim from West Indies
yes,
cricket.
right, right, yes, yes.
Yeah.
And again, even just touching on that, right? Those guys came from a system that was, and there's so much more we can talk about. See, from the sports division and the grassroots stuff that they have been implementing. That's systems. That's how systems work. Even from from the football,
Yeah.
the academies are coming in, but the academies are good, but they have to find a way to get some sort of competition within the academies, right? The competition can't be only to the schools.
Yeah.
We have to get a system to where,
Clubs. Yeah.
yes, the right coming from the sports division, not the I mean from the Ministry of Sports, the sports division, the clubs, right? The associations have to play a big part in that, and somehow we have to come to something where, either the associations organize youth sports. You have to. I mean, it's even just an introduction to those sports.
Yeah.
But bearing in mind, I mean, I'm not a big fan of specialization. I mean, especially at a young age, because you have. And which I think really worked for us, because we play football, we play volleyball, we play cricket,
Different
right? I mean,
sports, and people
different
were able to
sports,
find out
yes.
what they were good at.
And
Yeah.
then at some point, yeah, it just come like, oh wow, I'm kind of good at this. So it's,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah. So there's a lot of
but
hidden
again,
talent then.
yes, yes. And again, and I think the powers that we really have to recognize the economic strength of sports, right? Not only on an individual basis, but as on a basis of a country. I mean, sports tourism is one of the biggest growing industries right
Yep.
now. And so really even putting a system and say some facility in place. When you look at every, say for example, say if the Olympics is in a warm climate, right? Countries that have cold climates, they're looking for warm areas to
Yeah.
train. And for example, you're looking at, say, the next Olympics is in Los Angeles. There are going to be many, many countries that want to come in that environment, in that climate. So you'll find countries, and they'll go there for months to train. I mean, at some point, I was working at IMG Academy in Florida, and we had teams from Germany. We had the Netherlands national team, China, Japan coming down to Florida to IMG and train. Bermuda, we had teams going to Bermuda, and that's entire countries will say, "Hey, we want to come down to your country and use your facility for 4 months." Right, so
But
it's
you need to have the resources and the facilities
yes,
and these
the
things.
resources and the facilities. So it is something that not only just having the facilities to say we have a facilities, but putting those programs in place and reaching out to those different associations. Hey, we have this available, and you can even start making those connections even before you decide you're going to build it, right? And then so where you have those contracts, say once this is built,
And then others get involved on these things.
yes, we know for the next 5 years, Germany is going to come down every year from XY, from this month to that month to train national teams. So it's
it's very interesting.
there's potential there.
A
There's
lot of potential
and
indeed.
again,
Now on the basis, I want to keep you much longer because I suspect if we stay there, bro, we're gonna
all day. Yes, I know.
There's a lot more, but we'll just wait later on for what the other upcoming Olympians, I would have to say, upcoming Olympians, potential upcoming Olympians have to do, and then of course bring you back for more vibrations, sharing your thoughts on these things, and hopefully get involved. I was quite hoping that you would have been, in the Olympics with especially in a field that you actually are in, but it is what it is. But you have like 2 minutes remaining.
Yes.
What would you like to conclude for us here today?
I would say one, obviously, and it's not nothing new that I've said, and I'll say it and keep saying it. Dominica, there's a lot of talent in Dominica, a lot of talent, and then not only the talent, but we have a lot of individuals that they are bringing. I mean, the discipline, right, is ingrained. It's ingrained. The work ethics, it's ingrained, and they need some opportunities, right? Provide some opportunities. And again, right now, we talk obviously about them staying in Dominica, but that's not available now. So opportunities to get out and get into a system, because we can be on the world stage in whatever field. I mean, from education, and we see we are already there, especially for all the doctors that we have, even, curing cancer. I mean, doing this stuff. I mean, so the discipline and the talent is there. We just got to provide the opportunities, the support. And I would say to any young kids that may get to listen to this podcast, whatever it is that you're doing and you aspire to do, be disciplined. Be disciplined in your craft. Study the people before you, and especially now you have. You have so much resources, the videos, right? When you're going on TikTok, instead of looking at TikTok dance and look at fields is something that you want to do. I mean, again, in my days, like I said, I taught myself by reading some books. Now you have videos you can see, right? So again, and then surround yourselves with positive people. Surround yourselves with positive people, because positivity breeds positivity, like negativity breeds negativity. Surround yourself with positive people. And for the adults that may be listening, support the kids in their endeavors. If you don't know how to reach out to someone who might be able to help, I don't talk about a lot of stuff that I'm involved in and do, but there's never a time that I won't hesitate. I won't hesitate. Hey, if I don't have the answer, if I can find someone, whether it is from, hey, we have this kid from school, needing a school. I'm in the system. Reach out, right? And just reach out to people. If you don't know and don't have the expertise, reach out to someone that could help. But most importantly, man, be disciplined, be respectful, because respect can give you so much in life. Respect can give you so much in life and doesn't take anything from you. But again, let's as Dominicans, we have to unite for Dominica on whatever field that we are in, and we can be civil with each other whether we disagree or not, because we all want the same thing at the end of the day, for Dominica to be the best that it can be.